Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of Silhouette of a Queen. This is your host, Tiffany Devon, and I am a certified life coach and wardrobe stylist, and I style leaders and influencers in fearless fashions. So come on in. How are you all doing today? How are you all doing? Listen, I have been having a great time with the In Light of the Queen series, a Black History Month series. As you know, we've been covering and studying the life of different women this entire month for Black History Month. And I believe, like, In Light of the Queen, I just want to read you a snippet of what In Light of the Queen is. So it's something that I created in, let's see, in 2021, actually. So, in Light of the Queen, we are paying homage to beautiful Black women who moved or who are moving the culture forward with their courage, tenacity, and trailblazing efforts for the advancement and empowerment of all women. We are standing in their glorious light because of their strength, fight, and fierce determination. So, one of the things that I am always so intrigued and fascinated by is studying and looking at the lives of women who have came before us. I always want to know, like, what made them great, what made them able to do what they had to do. Where did they get their courage from? Where did they get their fight from? And also too, it gives us an opportunity to learn, where did they slip, where do they fall, so that we don't fall in the same area that they fell. So again, when we're looking at the previous generation, I do believe that God has charged us to always go a little further than the previous generation. So as you know, I'm pretty sure some of you are able to do things that your mother couldn't do, or your grandmother couldn't do, or your aunt, or your teachers, whoever is in your community. You're able to do something that they weren't able to do. And you are able to do that because you're looking at their life. And if you are gracious and blessed enough to have women around you who are able to pour into you and say, hey, this is where this is where I fail. This is where I don't want you to fall. So if you do it this way, you can shorten the amount of time that it will take you to get there. I have been blessed to have several mentors in my life. Both of them were spiritual mentors. In regards to my spiritual mother, and one of the things that she told me right on when we first connected is that if you listen to, the nuggets that I'm going to share, you'll be able to move through this faster. And because I am a woman that has always kind of prided myself on being listening to others, and I've always loved to sit at the feet of women throughout my life because I always loved and valued wisdom. So I was not one of those hard-headed women that, some people are like, if you tell me no, I'm gonna do it anyway. I wasn't one of those people. If you said, like, listen, if you go down this way, you're going to hit a brick wall, I mostly I believed you. Otherwise, you wouldn't be telling me not to go that way. However, as I've gotten older, I now have been able to tap into my own wisdom to say, well, maybe you hit the brick wall, maybe I won't. So it's just all just a matter of opinion, of what works for you. So, however, we're going to get into the Silhouette of a Queen in Light of the Queen Black History Month series. Let's go ahead and dive into this right here. Welcome, Black History Month. Our first woman that we are going to get into is the life of Miss Anne Cole Lowe. Now, Miss Anne Cole Lowe is someone that she hasn't really been at the forefront of not only just American history, but Black history as well. But when I came across her life, I thought she was too fascinating to not stand in her light. I mean, and once you hear the story, you'll be able to understand and see why. So, Anne Colo was born December 14th, 1898. She died February 25th, 1981. She was the first African American to become a noted fashion designer. And her quote, she says, "I love my clothes and I'm particular about who wears them." And we'll unpack that quote just a little bit later. But let's get into her life. So, Anne Lowe was born in Clayton, Alabama in 1898, like I stated. She was the great granddaughter of an accomplished seamstress, slave, and white plantation owner. Anne learned to sew from her grandmother and mother, who made dresses for Southern society women. Anne Colo was the first African American to become a noted fashion designer. Lowe's one of a kind designs were favored by wealthy and socially prominent women from the 1920s to the 1960s. When Lowe was a child, she loved to play with the scraps left over from her mother's work, sewing and shaping them to transform the scraps into flowers. Years later, flowers would be a hallmark of an Anne Lowe dress. In 1914, when her mother died suddenly, young Anne Lowe, only 16 years old, completed her mother's commission, including one for the First Lady of Alabama. Lowe continued to pursue her passion for design and sewing. When a wealthy Floridian invited Lowe to Florida to make dresses, Lowe recalled, "I picked up my baby and got on that Tampa train," referring to her child. In 1917, Lowe studied at New York's St. Taylor Design School. With racial segregation the commonplace even in the North, Lowe was separated from the other students and had her own space when she worked, but her work was so exceptional that she was used as an example. After earning her diploma, Lowe continued to work as a designer for the social elite. "I love my clothes, and I'm particular about who wears them," Lowe later told Ebony magazine. "I am not interested in sewing for social climbers. I do not cater to Mary and Sue. I sew for the families of the social register." Lowe's clients included the DuPonts, the Roosevelts, and the Rockefellers. In 1953, Lowe designed the ivory silk taffeta wedding dress worn by Jacqueline Bouvier, known as Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis, whom we would know would marry John F. Kennedy. Lowe had her own label and a store on Fifth Avenue. She worked for designer Hattie Carnegie. Her dresses were sold in Neiman Marcus, Henry Bendel, and Saks Fifth Avenue. At Saks, Lowe became the head designer of the Atom Room, a special in-house boutique that catered to the social elite. She discovered that the dresses that she sold for $300 were costing her $450 to make. She ended up owing money to friends, suppliers, and to the IRS. Someone anonymously paid off her IRS debt. Some believe it was Jackie Kennedy herself. Throughout her career, Lowe continued to work for wealthy clientele who often talked her out of charging hundreds of dollars for her designs. Lowe told a reporter for the Saturday Evening Post in 1964, "I like for my dresses to be admired. I like to hear about it, the oohs and ahs as they come into the ballroom. Like when someone tells me the Ann Lowe dresses were doing all the dancing at the cotillion last night, that's what I like to hear." A collection of 5 of Anne Lowe's designs are held at the Costume Institute at the Metropolitan Museum of Art. 3 are on display at the Smithsonian Institution's National Museum of African American History and Culture in Washington, D.C. Several others were included in an exhibition on Black fashion at the museum at the Fashion Institute of Technology in Manhattan in December 2016. Her work has been admired by the designer Christian Dior. Okay, so snippets of this has come from American History and Wikipedia. So let's talk about Anne Lowe. Now, listen, this Black woman was making an impact. Okay, So much so that, as I stated, her work was featured in Saks and Neiman Marcus, and even Christian Dior himself admired her work. So when we look at her life, there are some major key points that we can take away from her life. One is knowing what you want and knowing who your target audience is. She knew that her target audience was going after the social elite, because I'm pretty sure she knew that's where the money is. As the great, where they say that where the money resides, where the money resides, where the money resides. She knew where the money resides, and that's where she target was her target audience. So as I stated earlier, I believe in learning from the past generation, okay, and learning from their pitfalls where they fail. So this lets us know that she oftentimes undercharged her value and her worth. She was charging a certain amount for dresses, but knew that she could have been charging more. The question is why? Why was she not charging more? Was it because she was afraid, like so many of us, we're afraid that people won't actually pay us what we're worth? Are we afraid to ask for what we really want? Do we really believe in the value of what we have to offer? Right? This is where you and I get to go a step further, two steps further, 10 steps further than those that have gone before us, is that we now get to say, no, I'm going to charge what I'm worth, especially us who are entrepreneurs. So let's talk about her quote. I love my clothes and I'm particular about who wears them. Okay. So like I said, she knew her target audience was the social elite, and she didn't apologize about it. That's why in 2022, we're not apologizing. We're not apologizing about our worth and our value. It is what it is. Rapper Fat Joe told us, he said, yesterday's price is not today's price. So what I said yesterday, times are changing. And so yesterday's price is not today's price. And so we're going to charge what we're worth in 2022, because our ancestors have let us know that, hey, we are worth, more than worth, what we are capable of. Okay. All right. So let's talk about our next queen. Our next queen is Sidney Carter. Now, Sidney Carter is someone that we are coming up on knowing more of. Unfortunately, it took a little bit of a controversy for her to come more to the forefront, but I'm going to talk about who Miss Sidney Carter is. So, Sidney Carter is a basketball coach for Texas A&M University. She was born on November 18th, 1990. And her quote says, I say, do what you're confident in, be who you are, regardless of what people say. They will prefer to be the norm. There is no norm anymore. You make it your own. So, like I said, Sidney Carter is a basketball coach for Texas A&M University, and she created quite a stir when she wore a pair of pink leather pants, as you can see here in the picture. Sidney wore the pink pants in honor of breast cancer awareness. She stated that she posted the picture and had no idea that it would take off like it did. She says she always dresses up for games as a coach, and she is known for wearing skirts, suits with fun prints, and dresses as she leads her team. Critics say that her attire was not professional and that she should be fined. I literally post every game day outfit, she reminded Yahoo Life, adding, I just think that people are uncomfortable with a Black woman being in a power position. She said that for some, when you see a Black woman who is actually confident in embracing herself, I think that's very intimidating. What it comes down to, Carter says, is self-expression. I'm not going to turn my light off because somebody else is offended or intimidated by the fact that I embrace myself. She said, I wasn't trying to kick down any barriers. At the end of the day, I wasn't trying to set a trend. I just wanted to be myself. Her response to the criticism was this: "Thank you, everyone, for your support and kind words over the last few days. Representation matters. As a Black woman in coaching, I take pride in showing that people who look like me don't have to diminish our light to appeal to others whose opinions never mattered anyway. I will continue to unapologetically be myself, apply pressure, and show that Black women can express our individuality while doing our jobs at a high level." In closing, I say, do what you're confident in. Be who you are, regardless of what people say they would prefer to be the norm, she said. There is no norm anymore. You make it your own. And so snippets of this story was taken from Glamour in ABC 13. All right, so as you can see in the pictures here, these are the hot pink pants that made quite a stir with the controversy of what she was wearing. And as you can see in the other pictures, she's very confident. She's a very confident woman in herself, in her body, in her clothing choices. And so, as she stated, most of the viewers and onlookers are probably not used to a woman coach showing up the way that Miss Sidney is showing up. So here's some takeaways that I want to touch on. I kind of want to rewind here just a little bit. There was a segment that I did called Live Out Loud. And when I chose the statement Live Out Loud, it was a statement that I was actually speaking for myself in reference to 2022. I said that I wanted to look for ways in all ways that I could, as far as being able to live out loud. Live out loud, not necessarily like being loud and being like, or anything like that, although that could be a part of it. Live out loud just simply means being confident in who you are, not apologizing for it, not letting people diminish you, not letting people say this is how you should do it. This, part of it is knowing who you are. And so that's the statement for myself that I said that I wanted to walk in personally for 2022, Live Out Loud. And so I was inspired by her story and chose to touch on her life because she is a young woman who is automatically understanding the assignment of living out loud. So again, when we talk about live out loud, I just want to kind of give you a brief break down what it means. Again, living your life with sass, spice, glare, genuinely open and trustworthy. It is the practice of being yourself regardless of others' opinions. When you decide to live out loud and embrace your authentic self, you will see that there are going to be others who are blazing the same path and that they will make it comfortable for you to live out loud. Those that are not comfortable with, that are not comfortable with you living out loud will be those that are they're going to be intimidated, they're going to be either insecure, because how dare you live out loud? How dare you embrace your authentic self when, hey, we're called to live our life in such a way that blazes a path for those that are coming up behind us for them to stand in our light. So I hope that this is the message and what you can gain out of the In Light of the Queen, a Black History Month series, is that your life is no accident. We live our lives with intention, with purpose, and we have to know that in place of standing up and being ourselves, that we are going to sometimes attract attention. Sometimes people are not going to get it. But at the end of the day, you have to live out loud. You have to blaze your own path for those that are coming behind you, that will be able to say, had it not been for you doing what you were doing, not being who you were, you're unlocking people and giving them permission just by you standing in your own light. So thank you so much for rocking with me in regards to the Silhouette of a Queen, in light of the Queen of Black History Month series. Again, if you have not done so, this is your chance and your opportunity to click like, subscribe, and share. So that way you are not out of the loop the next time I go live. And I really thank you. I really appreciate you all for listening. And we're gonna continue to move forward with the Silhouette of a Queen podcast. And I got a new segment that's coming up here that I think is really, really going to be very informational. I think it's going to be very enlightening. It's going to be challenging a little bit. It was a challenging for me, but I think it's going to be something that you can really get into and rock with. So again, thank you for tuning in. I am your girl, Tiffany Devon. I am a certified life coach and wardrobe stylist. I style leaders and influencers in fearless fashions. And till we meet again, peace.